With the recent release of the Marvel Rivals Symbiote Thing costume for the Thing, now felt like a great time to explore the comic book origins of the Symbiote Thing costume. There are 3 key instances where the Thing, aka Ben Grimm, merges with a symbiote that I find to be the most relevant, though there may be a few other occasions. I split this up into 3 different parts. The very first appearance, probably the best appearance, and my personal favorite appearance, so make sure to stick around until the end. Let's start with his first appearance in Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man 2017, issue 304. This is actually the storyline that Marvel Rivals recommends reading for the Symbiote Thing. Ben Grimm only makes a short appearance, but it's still an awesome moment. For context, in order to stop an alien invasion in the present day, Spider-Man, his sister Teresa, and J. Jonah Jameson travel into the past. There, they team up with a younger version of Spider-Man, but accidentally ruin everything by revealing Spider-Man's identity to the Green Goblin. This forces a young Peter Parker to give up being Spider-Man for good. When they return to the future, they discover they've unknowingly altered everything. Peter Parker never became Spider-Man, and Harry Osborn is now president. Norman and Harry Osborn have turned the government into a completely totalitarian regime, with most superheroes either dead or working for them. The few remaining heroes form the Resistance. Desperate, the Resistance tries to break Dr. Doom, who is the only person alive with knowledge of time travel, out of a maximum security prison. But who is the head guard of the prison? None other than Ben Grimm, the Thing, now bonded with the Venom symbiote. He takes Spider-Man by surprise, landing a devastating punch that knocks him flat with ease. He even says, "Oh, looks like you can take a punch. Good. It's been a while since I laid a clobber in on someone. Being head guard doesn't get me as much action as I hoped." Looking absolutely terrifying, the Thing storms down the corridor towards Spider-Man, ready to beat him to a pulp. Spider-Man is shocked. He knows the Fantastic Four as heroes, but here, Ben Grimm has completely turned, corrupted by the symbiote, and is now a brutal enforcer of the Osborn regime. Forced into a corner, Spider-Man calls in backup. Doctor Strange, Captain America, Ironheart, and Teresa. The only option they have is to stall the Thing for as long as possible while Spider-Man presses on with the mission to free Doom. It's clear here that the Thing is completely overpowering, capable of steamrolling anyone in his way. It takes an entire team just to buy time, let alone have a chance to defeat him. And moving on to what I think is the best example of the Thing joining a symbiote, the issue of What If Dark Venom 2023. This What If story takes place shortly after Spider-Man returns from Battleworld with the Venom symbiote. Seeking help, Peter turns to Reed Richards to study it. After separating the symbiote from Spider-Man, Reed stores it securely in his lab. The Thing enters, frustrated and upset because Reed has forgotten some plans they had together. Ben feels neglected and increasingly down on himself, still bitter that he has been recently transformed into a rock monster. Reed, meanwhile, is completely absorbed in his work, ignoring Ben and focusing on his next experiments. It's then that Ben notices the symbiote. Reed explains that he thinks it's alive, that it was once a costume but in fact is something much more. He admits he hasn't been able to figure out exactly what it is or where it came from. Ben, uninterested in the science, reflects on his own situation. He's miserable, lonely, and resents the way Reed dismisses him. Talking aloud to the symbiote, Ben confides his frustrations. The symbiote seizes the opportunity, manipulating him and urging him to release it. Knowing Ben would make an ideal host, it bonds with him, transforming him into the symbiote Thing. Reed immediately panics, telling him it's very dangerous, but the symbiote retracts and reshapes, turning Ben back into a human form, removing his rocky exterior completely. For the first time in a very long time, Ben is himself again. Overjoyed, Ben refuses Reed's pleas to remove the symbiote, instead lashing out at him. He snarls, "Just do me one favor, Reed. Stay the hell out of my way." While Ben revels in his restored human body, the symbiote senses danger and shifts him into a hybrid form. His rocky appearance returns, but overlaid with a sleek, costume-like symbiote design. At this moment, the lizard attacks. Understanding Ben's pain, he tries to manipulate him, telling him they are alike, both monstrous outcasts who will never be accepted, no matter how much good they try to do. Ben initially rejects the comparison, reminding him that Curt Connors became the Lizard only because of his own experiments, but the Lizard argues that together they could use the symbiote as a cure, not just for Ben, but for countless others. Tempted, Ben follows him to his lab. Once there, the Lizard betrays him, seizing the symbiote and bonding it with himself. He immediately attacks Reed Richards, devastating the lab and gravely injuring Sue Storm. Reed tries to respond, but he is far too slow. In a shocking move, the symbiote-powered Lizard grabs Reed's head, stretches his neck, and bites down, ripping into him and leaving him for dead. Ben arrives too late. Furious, he hurls himself and the Lizard out of a window. As they are falling, the symbiote must decide whether to remain with the Lizard or return to Ben, and it chooses Ben. Rebonded, the symbiote thing picks up the Lizard by the head and crushes it, delivering the same brutal fate the Lizard had inflicted on Reed. From this moment forward, Ben decides to keep the symbiote. And moving on to my personal favorite example of the Thing taking on a symbiote actually comes from the Marvel Rivals Infinity comic book run, specifically issues 13 and onwards. This particular Marvel Rivals Infinity arc is still ongoing and features many characters bonding with symbiotes, but the Thing's story is just one of several highlights. It begins lightheartedly. The Thing, Rocket Raccoon, Squirrel Girl, and Jeff the Land Shark are searching for the perfect vacation spot, imagining cocktails, sunshine, and fun. Unfortunately, thanks to Johnny Storm's mischief, they end up on Clintar, the symbiote homeworld. Expecting beaches and warm weather, they instead find themselves in the worst possible place. Before they can retreat, they are ambushed by swarms of symbiotes seeking new hosts. The Thing, Rocket, Squirrel Girl, and Jeff are all overtaken, transformed into symbiote versions of themselves, and forced into service. Their first mission is to attack Blade and Shuri, who are also on Clintar conducting research into symbiote weaknesses. The corrupted heroes overpower them. Rocket even has Shuri pinned down with an oversized glowing weapon, but once the fight is done, it's revealed the group wasn't acting of their own will. They had been given orders by someone Rocket refers to only as Boss Man. The true identity of this figure hasn't been revealed yet, but it's clear they're central to the symbiote uprising. So to keep up with the Marvel Rivals Infinity comic book run, you can sign up to the Marvel Unlimited app, or you can check out my channel where I'll be covering each issue from the Marvel Rivals Infinity comic book run every single week. So there you have it. 3 examples of the Thing, aka Ben Grimm, taking on a symbiote from the comic books, which directly inspires the Symbiote Thing Marvel Rivals costume. And if you want to see more Marvel Rivals costume comic book origins, then make sure to check out my playlist covering just this, or check out the rest of my channel where I upload content just like this every single week. But for the meantime, peace, peace, peace.